So hello, welcome to the 2021 Highland Community School Annual Meeting. We have a number of people still signing in and joining, so we're going to give maybe just even another minute or so for folks to get in and get settled. It's nice to see some smiling faces and lots of names, familiar names, we'll say, in this Zoom reality that we're in. I'm just going to quickly share with those who have joined us right now that this meeting is being recorded. And you'll probably notice that there have been some meeting protocols put in place. So we have disabled the chat and the voice function. So for this part of the annual meeting, that will remain consistent, but you can change your name, and we welcome the videos to be on so we can see all of your smiling faces. But we do have quite an agenda for the 1 hour that we're together, so we want to make sure that we keep that moving forward. So I think with that, we can go ahead and get started here. Just a friendly reminder to my fellow board members, you all are co-hosts. Rochelle, I don't know if you have a hand up. You're not a co-host? Okay. Oh, that's right, because you had to rejoin. Thank you. Okay, perfect. All right, so all of the board members and presenters should be co-hosts, so you should be able to mute and unmute yourselves. So I would just like to welcome everyone to our 2021 annual meeting. For those of you who I don't know, my name is Liana Nikelski, and I am our board president. I'm also the parent of 2 Highland Community School children, Akira and Ricardo. Akira is in Miss Megan's class, and Ricardo is in Miss Wendy's class, both upper L students. And then I do have a graduate as well, Emiliano Torres, who is now in high school. So it has been quite the year, but we made it. We are here. And as we get started, I just really want to take a moment to thank all of the board members, Tracy, teachers, our staff, our parents, our guardians, our students, our families, all of our community partners for being there for each other throughout this past school year. It has been one heck of a year. And I know that there are various ways in which we've showed up for each other, and each and every way contributes to strengthening our community. Whether it's a warm smile and a good morning at drop-off for those hybrid students, or a private chat to check in on a student during virtual schooling, parents reaching out to teachers to see how they can help, or staff and families pooling resources to help those in our community when needed, and children themselves holding each other accountable. Well, in some cases, I know in my household, sometimes Akira and Ricardo will compare notes on accomplished works at best and arguing over who has fewer missing assignments at worst. Whichever way you have shown up this year for someone, thank you. Seriously, when we do it for each other, we do it for Highland. And I just love that hashtag because I think it really does stand for who we are as a community. So for those who have just joined in the last minute or so, I'm going to quick run through the logistics again for tonight's meeting. We are recording this meeting for those who cannot attend. All board members and presenters are co-hosts, so you should be able to mute and unmute yourselves when ready to present. The chat function is disabled for now just to keep us focused on the presentation, and then everyone is also muted unless you are presenting. So I know it's not the typical annual meeting where we might be stuffed in the gym or maybe had a potluck beforehand, and this is actually our second virtual meeting. But on the bright side, hopefully this virtual format allows for more to attend or to share or to experience the meeting even post this event. So in that regard, we do have 1 hour for our meeting, and that will go until about 7:30, at which point we'll transition over to a special board meeting for 30 minutes, where we will cover some governance topics. So you are welcome to stay on at that point in time, but don't feel obligated to. It will be run in typical board fashion. So and we have on the screen here our agenda. Thank you, Michaela, for being the one to run us through this. So I'd like to go to our first topic of the evening. We're going to do a quick introduction of our Highland Community School Board of Directors. So Highland Community School is governed by a parent board of directors elected from the current body of parents. The parent board has legal responsibility for decisions relating to the operation of the school. It sets and monitors the budget, makes and amends school policies, manages the executive director, and in conjunction with the teachers supports the curriculum. So Highland's experience demonstrates that parent governance of a school can be a critical factor in building school effectiveness. It is really the ultimate parent involvement strategy. So I'd like to remind all that these are volunteer positions, as each of these directors have committed to serve on the board for 3 years at a time. We meet monthly on the second Monday of the month, with the exception of May when we hold our annual meeting, or when we hold special meetings, such as the case of this evening. And we do not meet in July. So serving on the board of directors has truly been a real privilege and honor. We definitely don't take our roles and responsibilities lightly. In a typical year when there's not a global pandemic underway, board members can easily contribute several times the parent hours requested of us. So I really do appreciate how everyone has been going above and beyond, in particular this past year. But as was asked of all of us, that was the case that we saw across the board. So, again, in this together for Highland. So if we can advance to the next slide, I'd like to just do a quick round robin introductions of our board members before we pass it on to the next topic. So why don't we just go down the list here? I think this will make it kind of more smooth. I had a chance to introduce myself. So for board members, if you could please introduce yourself, your role, your children, and then just a quick why you serve, why in the board of directors. So I think I kind of did that already with my opening, so I will pass it to you, Rochelle.
Just real quick, Leanna, can you go and make Brian and T-Pon co-host, because we can't seem to do that. Okay.
Sure. Yep.
I'm Rochelle Johnson Bent. I have 2 children. I have Sienna Bent, who is in Mr. Vaughn's class, and I have Winston, who is in Mary Claire's class. What else did we say we were doing?
And why you serve? Yeah.
Oh, why do I serve? Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to be on the board is because I wanted to, when picking a school for my kids, I wanted to pick a school that I felt that I can be just as engaged into what they're learning, how they're learning. And so what better way to do that was to join the board that helps understand like what's going on in the school and to just be involved in like the leadership of what is happening at the school. So that was one of the main reasons why I joined.
So we're going to go down the list. So T-Pon, you're next. I made you a co-host. You should be able to unmute yourself. So just quick intro, who you are, who's your child, and why you serve.
My name is T-Pon Verela. My son Ibo is in Miss Megan's class. I serve because I felt like as a parent, I needed to sort of step up and join sort of like, what I saw as like this amazing set of board members that were, helping to guide the school in the right direction. And I just wanted to do my little part in this and be as much of a support as I could be for Miss Tracy and for the staff that at Highland that does a fantastic job. So yeah, that's why.
Thank you. Devin, I think you're up.
Hi, I am Devin Pittman, parent of Silas Pittman, who is going into K3, and Juniper Pittman, who is going into K5, and she's in Miss Mary Claire's class. So I don't know where Silas is going to end up, but we will see. I serve because I think it's important to be involved in your community at some level, and I've always been involved in some kind of a community volunteership, and this is the most meaningful place that I can be involved now that I have kids and they're in school. So it's a great place for me to be involved as a volunteer, because I can get to help affect my kids' education and also be part of a larger community that is a really important place to be. So thank you.
Thank you. Sheena? You're up next.
Hi, My name is Sheena Adams. I have 2 children. Summer Cupid, she's in Miss Darla's class, K4. I have an older child, Jordan Davis. She's in the AP program and she's in 8th grade. So she'll be graduating this year. And she has been at Highland since she was in K3. So that's about 10 years. I serve on the board because I have been a part of the community for so long and I'm very passionate about Highland Community School. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. And I second everything everyone said prior to me.
Awesome. Melissa.
Hi, I'm Melissa Gibson. I have 2 kids at Highland, Anna and Rory Freshwater. Anna is a 4th grader in Mr. Justin's class, and Rory is a 2nd grader in Miss Alicia's class. We have been here since Rory was in the toddler program, and we love this community, and serving on the board is both it's a mix of the personal and then also the professional for me as a professor of education, and I do work with justice-oriented schools and pedagogies, and so it's a great way to bring those 2 worlds together in the service of a community I love.
Awesome. Thank you. Brian.
I have Brian Litzy. I have a daughter who graduated Highland like 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago, which is hard to believe. And I have a daughter, Addison Litzy, who is in the adolescent program. And I have Bria Litzy, who's in Miss Megan's class. And why I serve on the board, I just think Highland has given my kids so much. This is the very least I could do, right? I wish I could like pull out a checkbook and write $1 million check. But since I can't do that, this is my way of doing that little small part for, all that they do and all the teachers and administration has done for my kids. So that's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Tresca.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tresca Myling. My daughter is Samara Bader Myling. She's in Miss Mary Claire and Miss T's room. And my son, Brendan, will be joining Highland next year in K3. And I serve on the board. I'm a former teacher, educator myself. So I really believe that school communities are very special places. And so the opportunity to be involved in the leadership of the board of Highland I think is a very special thing. And so that's why I serve on the board.
All right, Carla.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carla Munoz. I have Natalia, who will be starting in 3K this fall. And we're fairly new to the Highland community, and everyone has been so welcoming. So I joined because I wanted to get to know everyone a little better and serve this amazing community.
Thank you. And last but not least, Amy.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm Amy. I have 2 at Highland, and both of my kids have been at Highland since they were in the toddler program as well. Both of them had Miss Justina, who we still dearly miss. So I have Mia, who's in Miss Jenna's classroom in 3rd grade. And then I have William, who is in Mr. Vaughn's class, K5. And the reason I serve is because I am not a type of parent who's going to be the room parent or offer to take some of those things home to cut out. I'm an educator myself, and I do not want to be bringing educational materials home. And I have a lot of experience in educational leadership. And so I felt that that was the way that I could contribute my skills to the community, is to support Highland leadership in whatever I can. So, and I'm very honored to be a part of this community.
Awesome, thank you. And thank you everyone for sharing insights on why you serve. Part of the annual meeting, beyond kind of looking through the highlights and reflecting on the past year, we do cover some board business, which we'll get to in a minute here, where we do our annual elections for new board members. So if any of you listening, watching this, thinking about how you give back to the community, if becoming a board member is something that you're interested in, please reach out to any one of us. Love to talk to you more about it. Our board is only as strong as the people on it, and I feel very proud of who we have on the board now, but can always bring on more strong parents. So thank you. And with that, I will pass it to Tracy, I believe, to take us through the annual highlights.
Hello, everyone. Most of you know me, and some of you have spoken to me over the phone during we were all home, working from home. Welcome, and here's to almost closing to another year. The annual meeting always signifies we're getting to the end of the school year, so we only have a few more weeks left to go, which is bittersweet. This year's highlights are a little different than what we usually show. You know, we usually have a reel of the Montessori Model United Nations, the trip to Costa Rica, the Community Day Feast, all of those fun community events and things that we do at Highland that we unfortunately could not do this past school year. However, I do have some highlights that I would like to share with you that we don't necessarily have pictures of, but I think they are highlights anyway. So this past year, students, parents, and staff learned so many new skills in technology. We learned when the call went out for parents in our school community to offer support for groceries and other necessary items, our families, not surprisingly, rose to the occasion and donated over $4,000, in which we then purchased gift cards and continue to still use those gift cards to give out to families in need. Mr. Berry found ways to keep our lower L and upper L and adolescent students and families connected by doing neighborhood sing-alongs, sledding, hikes, cross-country, circus, and upper elementary play, while following all the necessary health and safety protocols. Miss Elizabeth, our new parent involvement coordinator, was able to meet and connect with new and returning parents during our Children's House hikes at local parks. Our teachers found new ways to connect with their students while always looking for more ways to engage them virtually. Our teachers learned how to transform a Montessori curriculum into a virtual format, and then most recently took on the almost impossible task of learning how to provide both virtual and in-person learning simultaneously while still providing materials to their students. It's been a whirlwind of a year, but we've learned how lucky we are to be a part of this community. These are just some pictures of Mr. Berry's sing-alongs and some of the outings. This was a historical voting year, and Miss Amy worked with the children making signs to encourage people to get out and vote. This was our Earth Day celebration, where we cleaned the playground and the neighborhood. These are some of our first days back. Thank you.
So I think now thank you, Tracy. There's something about being in a virtual meeting that's like the pictures are like, oh, I love it, but it's a different kind of energy being, in virtual versus in person. But I know each one of those pictures holds a lot of love and care and memories made in spite of everything happening around us. So thanks for walking us through that. Rochelle, I think you are up next here.
Yep. All right. Hello, everybody. So every year, as you know, Highland opens up elections, and we invite our families to run to be a part of our board. This year, we do have a candidate. His name is Jason Evans. Is Jason on today? Jason, can we unmute him? Oh, I see you. I'm sorry. Can we unmute him? Let's see. Ask to unmute. Because I feel like at a normal meeting, there you go, Jason. At a normal meeting, we would have you stand up and at least wave or say your name or something. Unfortunately, because of how we're doing it virtually, you didn't have the opportunity to do that. But to let everybody see your face, I know there's a picture of you, right? I did want you to say hi to everybody. So I'm going to mute myself. If you want to at least introduce yourself, say the name of your kids, any other information you would like to share, and then I will go into what the board election process looks like. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, that's all right. That sounds good. So hello, everybody. I am Jason Evans. As you can see up on the screen there, I have 4 kids at Highland and a wife who's a teacher at Highland. So I have Anders, who is in Mr. Vaughn's class, Cooper, who is with Miss Martha, Carter, who is with Miss Wendy, Sophie, who is with Mr. Justin, and Miss Lindsay, who is with Miss Darla. So Highland is a huge part of our family. 5 out of 6 of us go to Highland every day. And we've been a part of Highland for 8 years now. And it has been such a big part of who we are and has made such an impact on our lives. So to have an opportunity to be a part of the board and help make a contribution is something I would love to do. So, and I'm a Bears fan. I see Brian is also a Bears fan. So I don't know if that's going to hurt or help me, but
now we need to
put it out there.
You're on already. No worries. You said enough. You're good.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. I'm sorry, Jason. Sorry. Go. Okay. There we go. So every year like I said, we have our board elections. The board generally consists of between 10 to 14 families or members of the board. If you can go back, Michaela, to one more slide. So right now is your opportunity to vote for Jason to join our board. Right now, we are looking for more males, but any year we do want more people to get involved. As Leanna said, we are looking for strong people who want to bring their voice to the board. This was a year where we could use as many people's voices to help us make decisions. Your education, your background, the diversity is important. So next year, we're hoping that because you all see how important the board can be, we'll get a much more bigger turnout. We're asking for everyone to, put yourself in. It's not that complicated. It's not that hard, but it is important. Our kids' future is important. So I am asking that everybody remember to run for election for next year for our Highland Community School. Voting will take place today. It's going to start at 7 p.m. and run into 11:59. Yes, there's only one candidate, but it's important to still go out and vote and support him. To let him know that we do want him on the board and that we encourage him to run, because you never know. Maybe one day he'll run opposed and then he'll know I had to support 75% of the population. So at this time, if you could please go on to the link, I believe it's going to be available through an email to all the families. So please log in and vote for Jason to join the board. Thank you very much. Or to abstain. Thank you very much. And there also has been a link put into the chat. So as we are ending our call with this election, the annual election this year, at 7 p.m., you can start to vote for Jason to join the board elections. Thank you very much, everybody. And thank you, Jason.
Thank you, Rochelle. And I just want to say too, if you are feeling like, well, I've never been on a board before, I don't really know what a board director does, and don't I have to have experience? No, you don't have to have experience. It's also a learning and training opportunity. Many of us learn by doing it. And so if you just even have an inkling of interest, I really do encourage you to reach out to any of us just to ask. And we can even maybe do some kind of shadowing, for you to get a little more familiar with what it means to be on the board. Although we've had many guests lately at our board meetings, so you might have a picture of it, but there's a lot of work that happens behind the scenes as well and on the committees. So we'd love to talk with you more. So I think we're passing it back to you, Tracy, for a quick update on the hybrid approach to schooling.
Hi again. This is a really short update. Just looking at hybrid, I know everybody's thinking about what does next year look like. We'll get to that in just a minute. So back in August, you all know that we developed a reopening plan. And since August, a lot of the information that was put out last summer has changed. So we had to do a lot of updating. Since opening the building up to staff and students on April 19th, we've been amazed at how well things are going. I keep saying that and I have to knock on wood just because, we've been pretty lucky. It's quiet in the hallways. It's almost weirdly quiet because we're used to seeing children running through the hallways, even though they're supposed to be walking. We don't have all of our families back. We don't have all of our staff back, so it's not the same. And it won't be the same until we can all be back in the building again. We've not had many issues other than reminding students to pull their masks up. I just now go like this to remind them to pull their masks up over their noses. You know, we have our safety guidelines that we have listed here that we've put in place according to the CDC recommendations for schools. And we follow those. I send out reminders almost weekly to staff, and they are graciously taking my direction when I just give little gentle reminders. They know that we are doing this to keep everyone safe. And at some point, we're looking forward to, we're excited actually to be planning for our summer camp that's coming up starting June 21st. Typically, we run summer camps for 10 weeks. This year, we're running summer camp for 8 weeks. So we're planning for summer camps. And you ask, what will next year look like? I don't know. As soon as we know, we will update you, and we'll share information with you. We'll ask, you know, your advice on different things. If you want to be, you know, included on committees, if you want information, please reach out. You can send me an email. You can be part of the process. We're always following, looking at what the CDC, DPI, what they're mandating for schools to do in the next few months. That's always changing. But we are looking at starting the planning process for next school year. Right now, we know that a lot of schools are back in person, face-to-face, full-time. Highland is not doing that. We're going 2 days a week. We wanted to take baby steps going into the end of the school year. And because that is going so well, right now we're just focusing on what we're doing now and trying to do it well. And then in the next few weeks, we will start the process for what next school year will look like. So the big question mark, that's why that's there. We don't know, but as soon as we do, we'll let you know. Thanks.
Thank you, Tracy. So at this point, we'll just pass it to you, Devin, and then I think Tresca and Michaela, you might be following right after. So just go ahead and take it away. Is Devin frozen? Oh, there she goes.
Yeah, I froze for a minute. I was about to go online to change my settings to be on my iPhone, but let me know if there's a problem. So I'm going to do a quick rundown of the financials if you want to advance the slide. Our overall budget is a little over $5.1 million. That's contributed primarily because of our MPS charter contract. That's where we get most of our money, but the rest of the funds come from the contributed support, special ed, and program parent fees. On the other end of that, our expenses, the largest one, personnel, in all cases with most businesses and nonprofits. The rest is spent on education, operations, and occupancy. Our 2021 and 2022 budgets, we have an increase in the per pupil funding to $9,256 per person. The contributed support, we're estimating that, you know, there'll be some grant income of $100,000, $27,000 in contributions, $20,000 in fundraising revenue, and roughly $5,000 of in-kind donations. And these are just best guesses that have been put together based on our experience from prior years. We had a slight increase in the special ed and common school funds. Unfortunately, that's never really enough to cover the cost of special ed, but we make it work every year. And then we are planning on in 2022 including full program fees 60% of program fees due to the reduction in enrollments and possible capacity limits. So we did kind of tone that down a little bit. Hopefully we
So I think what she was about to say is, do you have it, Devin?
What?
Okay, you froze for a minute, so I was gonna speak for you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Where did I stop? Program fees? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we toned down the program fees a little bit to 60%, considering that we may not have full enrollment for the, before and after care and toddlers, depending upon reopening restrictions or capacity limitations. On the expense side of things, we have salary and wages of, let's see, 3.8 million, and this is actually up 1.5% from the year before. We like to have an increase for salaries annually. There's in professional development, monies that are spent there. And as far as our education expenses are concerned, we are budgeting for potentially less trips this year, given the fact that we have a pandemic in process. And hopefully if circumstances change and we might have larger group trips in the future, this will have to be amended. We did, in our negotiations with MPS last year, reduce our administrative fee by 1%, which resulted in a decrease of expense for about $30,000 per year that were not charged by MPS, which is great. And we are not going to, I guess, we're not going to be too concerned about buying more technology, because this last year we spent a lot on technology. So the virtual learning, as it winds down, we're going to take those items that we bought for technology, all the tablets, and take them back into school and have used that technology elsewhere in school. As far as operations is concerned, that's 2022 budget. There's some business technology outlays, cash outlays that we're going to have. There's universal free lunch programs from MPS that are included in that. And there's a VoIP telephone service that was purchased that costs contracts $14,000 a year, which will end. So that'll lower our expenses some. Our occupancy costs have that amount at the bottom of 662,000 also includes a budget for building reserve. But in addition, and that building reserve is kind of, that's a future capital repair improvement budget. So that goes into an account basically that waits for us to use it to replace a roof or a boiler system. And I know those two things are on everyone's minds, at least the boiler system and air circulation. But there's also some increased costs in occupancy due to janitorial services and janitorial supplies. That is really all I've got. So I've run through as quickly as I can with income and expenses. If anybody has any questions, I guess you don't get to ask questions, but you can, and nobody can unmute themselves. So yeah, that's all I got. So I'll pass it on to the next person.
But if there are questions, you can follow up with emailing us at the board, and I'll drop that in the chat. And there is a finance committee that is comprised of the board treasurer, which is Devin, and parent volunteers. So there's definitely a way to get the information or be involved. So.
Yep, there is definitely an opportunity to be involved in the finance committee, and we would welcome your help. Thank you.
All right, this is Tresca again, everyone. I'm very excited to be able to speak about our Growing the Good campaign at Highland. And this is all about the expansion project that is going on at the school. Next slide, please. So if you've been at Highland, you've seen that construction has begun on this $1.8 million project. It's a northwest corner addition. You see the 3 floors here. This is 3,820 square feet that's being added to the school. and with a brand new prairie landscaping and a green roof and rooftop garden. Next slide, please. This is the new entrance. This was a major reason for doing the expansion, was to create a more secure entryway and to relocate the main office. If you go to the next slide, you can see that the new entrance will actually be 2 stories high. So it's going to be a really beautiful grand space when you walk in, and have the main office right at the front. And then next slide. This is a glimpse into the new classrooms for the adolescent program. They are very flexible spaces to be adaptable for the curriculum for the adolescents, but also then to be able to serve as spaces for the after school program, which is another big need that the school had, to add additional space to the school. And there will be new artwork by Miss Amy and Highland students as part of the expansion. Next slide. So as the chair of the Fund Development Committee, we are also always recruiting new members to our committee, but we are doing some fundraising for this project. There are lots of major gift asks out that we are waiting to hear back on eagerly. And we've also been able to gather some support from the community and from parents like yourselves. We've actually had 44 families donate already to the campaign. So we're feeling very encouraged by that. But we also want to just speak tonight about the opportunities to give to the campaign, because this expansion is something, especially for those of us with younger students at the school, that will be serving the school for years and years to come, and will be a huge beneficial addition to the school. If you go to the next slide, you will see our donor wall that's going to be featured in the new entryway. Each of these strips here, if you can see, will have writing on it, and the different sizes and colors will be able to highlight different donor levels. If you would like your name on the donor wall, if you contribute by June 30th this year, you will have a spot on the donor wall before it goes up in the new lobby and entryway. The project is still on track to be completed before the next school year, believe it or not. But we do need all donations, or pledges, I should say, in by June 30th in order to have your name featured on this donor wall. And then the next slide, we have a couple different ways to give. And Michaela was going to drop some links into the chat, but a lot of this is featured on our website as well. There are ways to give online, to give by check. You can make a pledge to give into the future. Some of us board members have made 2-year pledges to help sustain the giving over a couple of years. And then please ask others to give. If you know alumni or people, especially those of you with kids in the adolescent program, maybe you know people who would love to give in honor of a teacher or in honor of a student who used to attend. We would love for you to think about this and to share this opportunity with them. I'm hoping that we can have some communication go out soon, because I'm sure not everyone will be able to catch these links, where you can then forward that on to people that you know, to ask them if they could contribute to the campaign. And then our final slide, everyone sort of loves this nighttime shot of, but we can't wait till it's done. Like I said, it looks like we will be able to have our grand opening in August when the school opens back up again for next year. So we will send out a save the date that will be coming out soon. Thank you very much.
All right, so now I'd like to invite Elizabeth. I think you're up next here.
Yeah, that's towards me. So a little bit about parent engagement this year. First, I'm just going to say congratulations, everyone. This year, every family at Highland exceeded their 36 parent hours. We have a certificate for you. We know just how much you've supported your child's education this year in ways you've probably never done before. And on top of all the ways parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, older siblings were present in school, in their homes, helping kids on and off Zoom, troubleshooting Chromebooks, often helping to facilitate asynchronous learning hours. On top of all that, we also had family members delivering materials for other families, sending home reminders, organizing winter gear, stepping up for Teacher Appreciation Week, and even cleaning up the grounds this past month as we transitioned back to the building. And we can't say enough to our parent board for the difficult work that went into this challenging year. So thank you as well. So parents and guardians, give yourself a round of applause. You certainly did your part this year. And that's all I've got for you.
All right, so one other benefit I'll say of Zoom meetings is that things move along and they are efficient, and time management is really fast. So although I know we started a few minutes late, we are ending a few minutes early. I would like to leave you all with one of my favorite Mr. Barry songs. So just bear with me, and I am going to share my screen and play an exit song for us. Unless you plan to stay on for the board meeting, we'll give ourselves a couple minutes. If you need to use the restroom or board members grab some water or something, we'll do a couple minute transition. But I just want to say thank you for tuning in this evening, for being a part of not just the annual meeting, but a part of our community. You know, they say a chain is only as strong as each link, and each of you on the screen here plays a significant part and a significant role, and we wouldn't be the community that we are without you. So really appreciate you. Really proud to be a part of this community, and really looking forward to seeing Mr. Barry in person someday to play this song for us. So I'm going to see if this works. Give me a second here. I think I have to optimize my sharing as well before I do that. Actually, let me do this again. Advanced sharing options. I'm just share at a time.
As you're getting that together, please everyone go to the chat if you can. There's a number of links regarding voting for the board election and also for pledges. Please go to the chat and get involved.
Can you hear?
I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a city that's truly a jewel. Each morning I get up and go down to Highland Community School. Highland Community School. Highland Community School. Each morning I get up and go down to Highland Community School. Life in Milwaukee's not easy. Sometimes people can be cruel, but I know I've got friends who stand by me at Highland Community School. Everybody! Highland Community School. Highland Community School. I know I've got friends who stand by me at Highland Community School. All right, we have one more verse. Do you remember what it is? Here it comes. I'll do what I can for my neighbors, even when I'm 102. I'm proud to have come from Milwaukee and Highland Community School. Here we go! Highland Community School. Highland Community School. I'm proud to have come from Milwaukee and Highland Community School. One more time. Highland Community School. Highland Community School. I'm proud to have come from Milwaukee and Highland Community School.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you for joining us. We're gonna, if you'd like to stay on for the board meeting, how about we go until, we'll come back at 7:20, regroup if anyone needs a break for a moment. If not, we'll see you over the next couple of weeks, hopefully in the summer programming, hopefully next fall, in real life, in a real person. So thank you for joining us again. At this point, I'll call the meeting to an end, and we will be able to share this recording as well out through Notes Home. So we'll coordinate that with you, Elizabeth and/or Michaela. But thank you all for joining. See you in about 2 minutes.